All right, welcome. Colin McKeith, host of EndeavorsAI, here with Casey Wu, founder of Fog Ventures. Here to talk a little bit about AI and its effects, improvements, benefits to the venture capitalist niche, and also how it's helping CFOs and others evaluate the costs or the values of their business. So, without further ado, let me introduce Casey. And Casey, kind of tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, your story here, how you got from point A to Fog Ventures.
Yeah, Colin, thanks for having me. I think at the highest level, I was in the military, uh, and then I went 10 years Wall Street, so pretty classic investment banking, hedge funds in New York. Then I switched to tech in New York, Silicon Alley, and loved it. I fell in love with it and was like, wait a minute, how come I'm not a finance bro? How come I'm not supposed to be in New York doing Wolf of Wall Street stuff? Because that's what I love. I'm supposed to love. It's prestigious. It makes a lot of money. And long story short, I wasn't satisfied or fulfilled. I mean, it's an incredible profession. It's just somehow not for me. Then I realized this whole building thing, this building at early stage was floating my boat. And I decided to go all in. And then to do so, I had to move to a place called Silicon Valley, where I'm now been here for 12 years. I learned very quickly that the finance department, HR, legal, IT ops was kind of nobody, was kind of real back office. So I went from where I say, finance in New York is the shit. Finance in San Francisco is shit. In 2010, 13. A lot has changed. I've done 6 different operator positions as CFO, COO, CEO, now founder. And along the way, I was lonely and couldn't find my group. So I helped start a 9-person breakfast club. It's called Operators Guild. That is the only community I'm aware of, paid community, that has 100x'd organically. So now we are closing on 1,200 people. So 120x actually. 20 chapters around the world. Our holiday party is tonight. It's 11 years. I run it full time now. It got so big that I never went back to a operator position. And along the way, also 4 years ago, we started Fog Ventures. Fog stands for Operators Guild. It is the investing arm of the Operators Guild. We are some of the Fog itself is considered one of the highest strategic angel checks you can take. We are basically the customer intros, the customer exposure, the product discovery, and the talent offering. Money is great, it's important, but in the end, I think nowadays with tech booming, cash is becoming a commodity. So the real value is the buyers and the builders, and that's me.
Sure. That's awesome. Well, thank you for your service, first and foremost. That's always it's great to hear. It's probably a very big character builder for you and why you made it from that point to where you are now. Focusing on the people portion of that. So, what sort of things are you? When did you start employing AI to benefit the human resources that you had, and how is that going? How is that being implemented in Fog?
Yeah, well, what's more valuable is Fog and OG combined looks at over 1,500 companies because we are all the operators at those companies. Fog itself is in an investing group, and Operators Guild is a community, right? So we definitely use AI, I think, in the more standard way that most people do. Whether it's we do a lot of calls, there's a lot of note taking, right? So at the most basic form, I realized I can focus on my call with you right now rather than spending half my brain energy typing.
Right.
And I forget a lot. And like, what is this? And I meet a lot of different companies. So it's fantastic. In terms of just summarization and text and language, it's obviously pretty advanced. But in terms of like the operator tool stack, that's where Fog invests. That's where the operators use AI. I think the most obvious ones are, yes, it's information gathering and synthesis across various departments. Like I said, meeting notes, then that rolls up to goals and to-dos, et cetera. So at the most basic level, that's been something a lot of people use. Another big one is summary of data rooms, memos, a, a bunch of different, pieces of information, and you want to get to the synthesis quickly. For example, it could be a big group meeting, all executives, they're submitting a lot of information. It might be too much for you to synthesize quickly. That's a really, really helpful way for AI to be used. Is just faster and more efficient communication, and really, it's the most important points. So what I would call heterogeneous assimilation, between departments, multidisciplinary. Others are, one big one, of course, is customer support, right? Repetitive on a product can be trained, through other customer support agents. Customer support is a very big one that AI is being used for. Then you have, I think, sales leads and some go-to-market happening, where you're able to take in, and unfortunately, a lot of emails are now AI, right? There's a lot of outreach going on. You start seeing that. I don't think it's got to the point where it's, as authentic as a human, but you're able to sort a lot of leads very quickly, gather information from LinkedIn, et cetera, and get information, once again, cross-synthesis, heterogeneous information to write a more meaningful, personalized note to a lead. So that's been happening on the go-to-market side. On the R&D product engineering side, you start seeing prototyping. So I don't think it's replacing a senior engineer, but you start to see product managers no longer blocked by, I got to go win over a few Google engineers to take on my product. They can prototype it in Replit, Lovable, Cursor, which is incredible. So AI native developer tools for prototyping in the product side. In the finance world, which I think Fog squarely has invested in a lot of wonderful companies, finance used to be this backward 30 days after the close, way delayed reconciliation, number munging by a few analysts to finally get to some intelligence that is like stale. It's already stale in this fast-moving world. Updating your KPIs manually, grabbing information from the accounting system and marrying it with the CRM. It's just, well, guess what? In comes AI, right? Same thing. It's disparate, different data sets, making sense of it like an intelligent human. And that's the big one, right? So why do you need analysts? Because it's not as simple as rows and columns. There is some amount of intelligence needed to marry the business data, and AI is doing it. At the most basic level, it can actually start modeling basic businesses. I wouldn't say we're relying on that, but it's quick, once again, prototyping almost. Have a business idea, what's the rough revenue, margins, changes. For those who can't model, same thing. For those who can't code, it's helpful. A big one is synthesis of what's going on. Hey, the books were closed. What's happening? Where's my burn? What's changing? And it reads it like a financial analyst. One of the biggest changes in AI is in the accounting world. If you think about it, accounting is rule-based, repetitive, a lot of auditability, receipts. It's perfect. It's perfect for real-time close. And that's a big deal. For people that don't know accounting, it is a very laborious process. That's why it takes forever to close. Real-time close. Are we there yet? Not there, but oh my God, we're close. 90%, 80% of today's transactions are digital. Why can't you close them today with barely any human effort? And then the last 10%, run it by a human. That's the commonality right now. But once you have real-time close, what's the significance? It's not just, I have my accounting books. It's intelligence. It's the business data financially. I don't know a single business that doesn't have finance in it, right? In the end of the day, it's a very key component that was locked into a cave. So real-time close is bringing real-time intelligence. Now, the analogy is like, on the battlefield, the US military is incredible because it has real-time battlefield intelligence. It can move, change, whatever. It's very similar. If I get my intelligence 30 days late, that's a disadvantage, right? So that's where the world is moving. And that leads us to kind of CFOs, and to start my, where I came from is, it used to be we were the back office, get my expense report done. Now the CFO is the chief performance officer. Some CFOs know more than the CEO. So the value and the strategic intelligence that everyone can now have is surfacing.
So I take it from how intelligently you speak of AI that you're already using workflows currently in Fog Ventures, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Are you also doing a lot of, I guess bring your portfolio companies up to speed on it? Are you seeing a lot of lack in AI use cases in the companies that you're evaluating?
Everyone is adopting AI to some degree. I think what's happening is, a lot of software, new software being built is AI native. So that's happening, right? So instead of buying something not AI native, people are pausing and buying AI native. So it's just going to happen naturally as products around the world become AI driven
Mm-hmm.
versus, plugging into ChatGPT. So yeah, so products around the world are building AI first. And then others are, directly trying to use AI at the core of it, leveraging literally the foundational models and ChatGPT and the agents.
Yep. Are you seeing much of a hurdle to adoption from any different sector, or is everyone, pretty much wading in at the same clip?
No, I think, well, I mean, I live in a bubble, right? So the tech companies, no surprise, are going to be adopting it way faster. It's the, break things, ask for forgiveness, and the investors and the boards are good with that. So that is a really big one. Whereas I would imagine, medical industry, less non-tech industries are going to be a little bit slower, but they're all coming. Construction's one that I've seen slower to uptake than tech, but it is an incredible 10x value for that business, for that industry, especially more non-technical industries. Because when you think about it, one thing AI does that is special versus past cycles is there's not a lot of training needed. Not a lot of training. So there's not a lot of training because that was the big hurdle to adoption. Oh man, I have to learn a whole new thing. We're an old age. No, we're not gonna do that. What do you mean? Use a chatbot. Ask. Wait, what? I just type. Yeah, ask like you're asking your son or asking an intern. Go. Wow, that has changed adoption like you wouldn't believe.
Right. So is there much else, like if you were to give any founders advice on how they can be attracted to a VC, um, without stating the obvious, do it as early as possible. What kind of advice would you give them to AI adoption?
For areas that are not life death compliance, go for it.
Right.
Run in parallel, test, try, learn, trust but verify. So for things that are numbers related, do it the old way, do it the new way, see what happens, keep doing it. Areas that are becoming high fidelity, trust and move on. Yeah, that is just the pattern around. But I do think it's embracing it, and a lot of just don't be afraid to experiment. But of course, weigh the risks of hallucinations, downsides, etc. That obviously measure that, but yeah, no, I think it's that much of a brilliant basic.
Yep. Review it before you click send, sort of thing, right? Great. So do you guys perform any kind of AI audits with the companies that you bring in, or is that, table stakes that's already done before?
I don't think AI audits, in my opinion, is mature enough to be a proper audit. I think we're all just learning together as mankind. I don't think anyone's like the AI authority right now. It's like when the car got invented, everyone's like, auto insurance companies are starting, and everyone's just like figuring this out. Yeah, it's just fun, but it's also there is no set anything yet. Even OpenAI, right, with Gemini coming out, even top leaders are like, surprised and blindsided or whatever. It's moving really fast.
You think there's anywhere it's being overused, relied
Oh,
on too much?
oh, that's an interesting question. That's interesting. I think in the world of like cold outreach emails, actually, I don't know if it's, sorry, content.
Mm.
Overused. Do I blame people? It's like, it costs a lot less for someone else for this AI thing to generate content, but I do think there's some random statistic that was like half of a lot of content you're seeing I know is AI generated now or AI influenced. And ideas it becomes similar. So in terms of overuse, it's the commoditization of outreach and emails and But yeah, I think that's an area where people might just be getting a little lazy.
Yep. Which is we're that culture, right? So with all of your experience, where do you see it in 5 years? You're in the tech bubble.
Oh, it's AI agents are everywhere in all parts of life. There's specialty AI agents for legal, for trip planning, for the doctors. They have their own, and yeah, I think it's going to be, I don't know what the word is, like human powered, or I'm sorry, human supervised, or AI supported. Um, the a lot of the jobs will, I think, be hopefully more strategic or high level. It's more piecing together horizontal things rather than vertical things. The Operators Guild, the community that I run, is prime for that. We are the horizontal specialists, whereas most of the world is vertical specialists. The lawyer, the doctor, the engineer, sales. We're the horizontal, putting it together to make business happen. I call it the scaler. And so what's going to happen is people have a legal agent, potentially a customer support agent. So I think in the early stage, smaller businesses, people will do a lot more with a lot fewer people. So it's way more actioning, decisioning than munging. At the bigger corporate level, yeah, the whole departments are going to get far more productive. Truly, I know it's a word but technology has always just been efficiency and productivity. I mean, I know of one company that had something like 800 customer support people. They have 30 now. Those 30 are much more strategic, high level, senior operators who manage agents. And there's a whole ecosystem of AI happening. So I just saw a company that does brokering for GPUs. So all these chips that are coming out there's an aftermarket for them. How do you broker that? How do you sell between? I mean, it's a whole thing. Like I said, it's just like insurance companies that were created when cars were invented. So there's an incredible ecosystem happening that is the ingenuity of humans is really fascinating. So I think we're going to have a ton of interesting AI ecosystem players. And I think it's net positive. I know there's a lot of worry, but I think mankind will move forward. It'll bring a lot more productivity. Hopefully that means more value. That means hopefully more wealth. How it's distributed, not sure. And of course, the other side of it, I think the negative use of AI will also be something we have to guard for. I'm very scared on the con artist scam side.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think grandmas were tricked, grandmas and grandpas were tricked already. You don't even want to know. We are getting tricked. Very tech savvy people don't know what's real anymore. So hopefully there's some sort of AI indicator or something. I doubt it, because the whole point of being AI to create stuff is so that you can't tell.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think defending against that.
Cool. No, I think you're spot on. Well, Casey, I really appreciate your time. I think this has been, very helpful, very informative. I think that firms and, founders that, like you say, that adopt it early, try it out, kick the tires, but focus on the human aspect of it are going to benefit. And to your point, as far as crunching numbers, get those mundane processes out of the way so that you can really focus on the key of your business so that you could take off. I think that's really the way to do it. So, yeah, I appreciate your time. Look forward to following up with you. And with that, we'll close unless you have any final remarks.
No, thanks for having me.
All right.